Hello, this is B4R, and today we are going to have a look at prices of all the adventure, or most of them, that we have here in Greece, from 5,000 euros to around 7,500 euros, because we've got new prices for the KTM 390 that lowered the price for the X version and our version. So the X version now is 5,800 euros. And this one here, the Adventure R 390, is 7,300 euros. So this, I think, was around 7,900, 8,000 euros. So it's much cheaper now. And I think the X was around 6,200 or 100. So they lowered the prices before they brought them here. So now we know 5,800 and 7,300. So now let's compare to all the bikes. So I've got around 30 bikes here. I might not have included all of them, but let's have a look. We start with the Zondes 350 T2, a bike that doesn't have a lot of suspension travel, but it's got 19 inches in the front, 17 inches in the rear, and 39 horsepower, which is less than the 45 of the KTM bikes. Both KTM bikes have 45 horsepower. Next, we have the Benelli, what is this? Benelli BKX at 300cc, 29 horsepower. This is not here yet, so I don't know if this will be the price, the final one. This got suspension travel, I think around 18, I'm not sure, 18 centimeters. And it's also a single cylinder, remember this, because the KTMs, the two KTMs we're talking about, are single cylinders, which means more vibrations, usually. So here we've got the Honda CB 350. I put it because it's a road bike, just put something from Honda. Here this is 22 horsepower, so not so great. I think it's got a larger front wheel. I think it's a 19 or 18 or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the price, 5,200 euros. So cheaper than the X. Now here is the first interesting one. This is the SRT QJ motor 550S. Notice the S at the end because there's another SRT 550 and it's not this one. I think we're gonna see it in a moment. So this is a twin cylinder, so it's a almost different category, less vibrations supposedly than a single cylinder. I think it's got adjustable suspension. I think it's around 15 centimeters. I fit on this, quite big, and it is 46 horsepower, so it's slightly, very slightly stronger than the KTM, at least on paper. Here we have the old Himalayan, and before I talk about this, I want to say that the KTMs have 20 centimeters of travel on the cheap version, the 5,300 version, 20 centimeters, non-adjustable, and it's tubeless because it's alloy rims, right? And then the other version has got 23 centimeters of travel, and that's also tubeless and adjustable. The cheap one is non-adjustable. So here is the old Himalayan, 5,300 euros. I think I had a decent amount of travel, around 20 centimeters. I'm not sure if it's more or less. I think it's more. And 25 horsepower, so much less strong, but they say this is a bike with a lot of torque. Then we have the Brixton Crossfire 500 something, and it's 5,400. This is again a twin cylinder, 48 horsepower, and it's more like a scrambler or road cafe thingy. Anyway, I just put it there because it exists also. This is a bike I saw at the EICMA last year, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. but the price, at least the one they show here before they bring them in Greece, is 5,400, and you pay that for a 352, which is similar to the engine from the Yamaha 350, isn't it? The twin cylinder, the small bike, the MT-03, I think. 41 horsepower, but I think for the price and the size of this bike, the price should be lower to be competitive, because you can give a bit more and get more bike, I think. Maybe you want a smaller bike, twin cylinder, and probably burns less. It's lighter, so again burns less. Maybe if you're a woman, shorter person, you will prefer this bike. The suspension travel doesn't seem much here, maybe 14 centimeters, somewhere around there. And yes, I said 41 horsepower. Anyway, let's go to the next one. This is the Triumph Speed 400. There is also the Scrambler X, or whatever it's called. There's a new one coming, the XC. It's similar engine, so similar, the same engine. 40 horsepower on this. On the X version, it's 15 centimeters of travel, supposedly. I think this is less, I'm not sure. This is the SRT without the S, the 550, and I think it looks okay. I think it's a bit heavier, much heavier than the S version. So 46 horsepower, but since it's a heavier bike, it won't translate as much on the road. I think again this got 15 centimeters of travel. And the next one is the Guerrilla 450. Again, scrambler type, but since the X is more of a road bike, although with plenty suspension, I think we should put this here. Also 40 horsepower. I think the wheels look like 17 front and rear. Okay, let's move on. Here we have the SRT 550 SX, and the difference is in the wheels, which are tubeless spoke rims and tubeless spoke rims. Anyway, 46 horsepower. So let's continue. If you like these rims, get this, but you'll probably be fine with the cheaper version, which is also 1719. Here we have the price on some shop, 5,800 for the KTM, and you can see 1719, 20 centimeters of travel, which you can't really see because it's got the suspension cover thingy here. And okay, this is the bike we're comparing most of the bikes here with. So here Daytona Maverick at 5,800. This got plentiful of suspension travel, tubeless spoke rims, 1719 horsepower, 46 horsepower, and it's a twin cylinder. It's a wider bike because it's a twin cylinder, but I think you get more bike for what you pay for. Like if you ask me which one I would buy, I would say but this is heavier, of course. So if you want to go off-road with this cheaper version of the KTM, maybe it's better. But if you just wanted to commute and travel and adventurize, I think this might be better. Sometimes more weight is also better, and it tells you that you're getting more bike, bigger bike. Anyway, then we've got the old 700 MT. It looks better than the new one, in my opinion. 17 in the rear, 17 in the front. The new one's got a 19, I think, in the front. And it's a cool bike that's much stronger because it's 700cc, 67 horsepower. So this is more of a highway bike. And the suspension travel would be less. although I do think it's adjustable. And I remember this bike being very comfortable. Then we've got the Royal Enfield Himalayan with spoke rims, but not the tubeless version. 5,900. This bike, when you lift it up from the side stand, feels extremely heavy. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's all the weights high up. 40 horsepower. Suspension travel is around 20 something. I think this is a single cylinder. So this is a very similar bike. Who makes the KTM Bajaj, doesn't it? So yeah, basically both are Indian bikes. This is the other company from India. There's many companies there. I think I would prefer the KTM because it's lighter. This is a Woodzi Chinese bike, a Vogue Watch. Call it what you want, 8,000 euros. 48 horsepower. Twin cylinder, so it's a wider bike, slightly heavier of course, around 200 kilos I guess. 1917. I think these are not tubeless, unlike the other model from Woodzi. Suspension travel, I don't remember. I'm guessing from the looks of it around 15. This is the new Maverick, which is the Kove 5 something, 510X. And this, what's different, we've got new colors, got nice gold rims, we've got traction control now, and a new screen, a more futuristic screen, 48 horsepower. I think that's all that's different. Maybe there's something else. And again, another cover. This is a roadster kind of bike. In China, they've got this with more suspension travel. They've got, I think, 3 variations. Here they brought the variation with not much suspension travel. I think it's around 15, and a single rear swing arm. Again, a twin cylinder, 43 horsepower. Here we see the very popular bike of this year, last year, the 415T, 6,200 euros. They put the price up. 43 horsepower, twin cylinder, 2118 or 2117, I don't remember. I think it's 17. I had some issues with how edgy the throttle was, but I think they fixed them. And yeah, told people don't fit here because of this thing here. If you see my channel, you know of this. Otherwise, a bike, and it's very good off-roading, but it's not a very comfortable, it's not for the comfortable ride. Anyway, next bike, CRF 300. This a single cylinder, 28 horsepower. So if you're looking for power, you don't look here. This is a really off-road bike. You sit on this and it falls down completely to make you super comfortable. And it's small. This is an off-roading bike with plenty of suspension travel. I think it's around 23 centimeters. I don't know, I don't remember. Next is the 525 DSX of 2025. I think they've added some lights on the buttons and maybe a camera, I don't know, something they've added, electronics, and they put the price up 300 euros. Twin cylinder, tubeless spoke rims, the ones that go to the center, and 48 horsepower. I don't know if tall people fit on here. I think the suspension travel is 15 centimeters, so less than the KTM. Let's go to the next bike. And the Woodzy had adjustable suspension. Unlike this one here, this is the TRK 6340. A very heavy bike, 17 in front, 17 in the rear. 48 horsepower. Suspension travel, I think it's around 14. I don't remember. Anyway, the Himalayan with tubeless spoke rims, it's got a different price, and that's 6,500 euros. This is the Vogue 650 DS. This has an engine from an old BMW. That's why the exhaust is on the wrong side. And it's got 48 horsepower. I think this got plenty of suspension travel. Around 19, I think. And I also think it's a single cylinder. So you get some vibrations. Here we see the price for the Enduro R. This is fully adjustable suspension on this one, and might be a good buy if you want to do off-roading compared to the X version, and it's much cheaper, around 600 euros cheaper than the R version. But I think the R version's got cruise control, so consider that. And I guess it's got 45 horsepower, just like the brothers. Here we see a very big and bulky bike from QJ Motor, the SVT 650. This is a copy of the V-Strom. It's got a very similar engine to the old V-Strom. 650cc, 76 horsepower, so it's a much stronger bike to go much faster. It's not really an off-road bike because of its weight. And I think it's 1719. Tall people, you should sit on it because it's got some plastic here and your knee might not fit. TRK 6600 for the version with 19 spoke rims, but they are not tubeless. 48 horsepower. Heavy bike, big bike. So you lose something, you get something. More stable ride or more room to fit on. Here we have the Beta Alp 4.0. This is a bike that has a Zondes engine, the 350 engine that we saw on the bike when we started this video, which cost, I think it was under 5,000 euros. So if you want something with a conventional fork, but a lot of suspension travel, unlike the Zondes, you can get this thing, 35 horsepower. I think it's overpriced for what it is, but it is there if you want it. Here we have Leoncino of 2025, 6,600 euros. I guess this is more of a street bike, 48 horsepower. It's basically the same with the TRK we saw before, the engine, but in a more street package. Here we see a 700 from QJ, 17 in the front, 17 in the rear, so it's more road oriented, tall bike. So it's got some suspension travel. I don't remember how much it is, but it looks plenty here. 74 horsepower, 700cc. It's heavy, it's not as light as the 550S, but it's more for going fast. I think it's more like think of it like the Tracer 7. I think that's the idea of it. Here we have a Honda finally. We had the other 350, but this one is more like a modern bike. We've got a twin cylinder, it's the 500 CB engine that all the Chinese companies are copying. When you see a twin cylinder from the Chinese, it's probably a copy of this engine here. 6,750. So if you can afford the Honda NX 500, you can get this. Suspension travel isn't much. It's a bit ugly with the huge exhaust. The swing arm is the cheapest thing they could make. I'll probably go cheaper, but that's what they did. 48 horsepower, 500cc, and it's a Honda. Here we have the new 700MT, which looks like the 800MT. It's heavy, but I don't know, maybe they sell more of the 800s and they decided to make a 700 that looks like the 800. 68 horsepower. Personally, I prefer the looks of the other thing, the old 700, but that's just me. Again, a heavy bike to go fast. Moto Morini, this related to the previous bike. This is 650. The previous bike, the CF Moto, used to be a 650 some stage in the past, and this got the same engine. And I think it's a bike that looks much better. If you see it in person, it looks very nice. The suspension travel is around 15, I think, centimeters, and it's heavy. 60 horsepower. So again, a more of an adventure touring thingy. 650 DSX, we saw this. The X is the difference because it's got spoke rims here. 1719 again. 6,900 euros. 48 horsepower. This is the new Wuji Vogue WODS 625X. It's the updated version. In China they had the 525 as this bike, but they decided in Europe to bring it with a larger engine capacity. In China they had the extra suspension travel on the 525. Here, as I was saying before, they brought it on the 625 to give you more power, which is much more, because what was the other one? 48. This is 65, so it's much stronger. I don't know if you have to pay more for the, what do you call it, insurance and all that, but if the cheaper one is 6,300, 700 euros more, you get a much stronger bike and better suspension. Anyway, next bike, it's the same SVT 650, but it's got the tubeless spoke rims this time. 76 horsepower. Again here, tubeless spoke rims, 1719 this time. The more expensive one's got a bigger wheel in the front, makes it more off-road friendly. That's what you want to do, but if you watch motorcycle channels, or if you actually drive a motorcycle off-road, you know lighter is better for off-roading, usually. Then we have the ugly NX 500. They made a new bike from the CB500 and made it ugly. It's pretty much the same with traction control and a nicer screen. 7,200 euros. 48 horsepower, 500cc. I think curb weight is around 200, I think. I think it's a bit lighter than the CB500, I'm not sure. Something they did to the wheels, I don't remember. Again, non-adjustable suspension, 15 centimeters. And let's go to the next bike. This is Moto Morini. I don't know if this is tubeless, but it's got gold rims. That's the difference. Probably tubeless too. And it's 7,200, 61 horsepower. And finally we go to the 390 Adventure. 21 in the front, I think 18 in the rear, 23 centimeters of travel. It's a light bike, I think around 170 full with gas. I'm not sure. Might go to the specs and see. 45 horsepower. So you see there are many options, many options, a lot of prices. If I was going to buy one, my mind straight goes to this thing, which is quite cheap, and it's a twin cylinder. The engine's been, they made it a few years, they've had it, they've just made it larger. I think it's adjustable in the front, and the other one my mind would go to is the Maverick, the new one. It's got the traction control. Anyway, that's just my opinion. If I fitted on the 450 MT, I might have chose this. There is a Morbidelli 550, I think it's 6,500. And what else are we waiting for? There is the Moto Morini, which is based on this bike here, the Ultra Hike. We don't know a price for that, but I think tall people will fit on that. I think there is a Raleigh Royal Enfield Himalayan coming out. And in conclusion, if you are on a budget, you can always buy a used bike. Anyway, I'm B4R, thanks for watching, bye!